Just for the record, it is 18 degrees here in San Antonio, and it is never 18 degrees here in San Antonio. And we do not have central heating in my house. So I'm going to do this quickly so I can go to a room that we have heated. Hello, my name is Shaggy, the Opinionated Hippie, and thank you for watching my channel for the first time or the next time or whatever time this is. I'm currently ranking and reviewing every single Frank Zappa album released after he passed in 1993, December. I already did all the ones before he passed. If you're interested, they're elsewhere on this channel. And we're currently on number 51, Joe's Domage. This is the second in a series of albums released. This one was released in 2004. Archivist Joe Travers essentially releasing stuff that is pretty much for the hardcore, obsessive, compulsive, analytical type, you need to hear everything Frank ever recorded type fan. This is not for the casual fan. If you're just now dipping your toes in the Frank waters, wait on this for a long time. Because what this is the rehearsal tapes for the Waka Jawaka sessions. And it's not even the sessions, because at the end of this, there's a track where Frank's like, when we get good at this and we feel comfortable, then we'll go in the studio and record it. So it's the Frank teaching this big band, this is with the horn sections and the percussionists and all that stuff, teaching this big band how to play these songs. Some of which will appear on Waka Jawaka, one of which does not actually appear officially until Gregory Peccary years later, though it would be played on the tour that would follow. Yeah, weird craziness. But what I wanted to say was, oh yeah, so it's interesting. The interesting part about this is like, there's not a lot of like long sections of music is the frustrating thing. So Frank would teach the band how to play it in sections. So he'd say, okay guys, let's just work on this like 4 bars or 8 bars. When you get that, I figure you have like the feel to it, we'll move on to this, then we'll move on to this. And so it really was in like little chunks. And then once they would have a lot of chunks pieced together, then they would kind of run through all those chunks together. And in the instance of this album, Frank would then solo and get in some nice little solos. But there's not any complete songs. None of them go on for more than like 2 or 3 minutes. The tracks, there's only really like 3 tracks that are mostly music. The rest of them are kind of leaning towards mostly stops and starts and Frank telling people what to do. Or there's even a lot of dead air on it, you know, where you can kind of hear people messing around before they jump into a section. So it's not for the casual fan. And as someone myself who is making all of these videos reviewing Frank's albums, even I don't listen to this very much. In fact, hardly at all, because after I listen to it, all I want to do is go listen to the Grand Wazoo and Waka Jawaka, because then I can actually hear the whole songs. So, yeah. So it's an interesting album. The sound is pretty good. I will recommend that, like, played loud and on a really good speaker with some good bass. It seems like the bass is important in this. There's a spaciness to the sound. The horns have a rawness, and they're kind of separated. Frank's guitar sounds pretty good. The percussion elements are a little buried in the mix, but the sort of the instruments that are carrying the melody kind of stand out really well and have a rawness and an immediacy to them that the album versions obviously don't have, because, you know, of the production values and, you know, them being Frank producing them. But they do kind of sound neat. So when there are those sections where there's music, it sounds pretty good. You know, not spectacular Dolby, all that stuff, but pretty decent sound for rehearsal tapes, and kind of neat if you really, really like these 2 albums, Waka Jawaka and the Grand Wazoo. I think you can maybe get something out of this and maybe have a little more appreciation for those albums, but I don't think this is going to satisfy any musical urge in you. So these are the tracks. When It's Perfect, they're running through the New Brown Clouds. The New Brown Clouds, the second track is about 2.5 minutes of them actually playing the New Brown Clouds. Interestingly enough, the Big Swifty, not the Big Swifty, was part of New Brown Clouds. So it would be like you'd get a little New Brown Clouds and then it would go off into some Big Swifty energy, and then it would go back into New Brown Clouds, which is pretty interesting. At no point does Frank say, let's play Big Swifty or we're going to run through Big Swifty. So apparently it was a part of New Brown Clouds. He then took Big Swifty out and turned that into this monster, you know, incomplete one side of an album song, where New Brown Clouds then got put into Gregory Peccary and would get played live, but then not then released until the late 70s. So again, Frank being weird with when he writes songs and when he releases them and what he does with them. Frog Song is 17 plus minutes of them working through It Just Might Be a One-Shot Deal. It Just Might Be a One-Shot Deal is them running through It Just Might Be a One-Shot Deal. Frank gets some good soloing in. The ending line, they're just practicing the ending line of It Just Might Be a One-Shot Deal. Blessed Relief, New Brown Clouds. They're working on Blessed Relief and New Brown Clouds. It Ain't Real, So What's the Deal is 13 plus minutes of them working on the Grand Wazoo. Think It Over Some, Think It Over Some More is the Grand Wazoo. The original title for it was Think It Over, and it had lyrics. If you always wondered what did those lyrics sound like, some of them are sung here. I don't think all of them are sung here, but the Think It Over line is sung here, and you get to find out where it goes. And if you're a fan of the Grand Wazoo and you know where it goes, it's neat because every time you hear the Grand Wazoo from here on out, you know exactly where it goes. And it's kind of hard not to sing them to yourself. At least it's hard not for me to sing them to myself. Another whole melodic section is a section called Interlude that the Mothers played in '69, and then the Hot Rats Band, which was a short little tour Frank did in early 70s, they played this. And so you get this band running through that. I don't think they ever played it live, so Frank kind of just dropped it after this. I don't know if it popped up at any other incarnation of Frank's. So he tried to resurrect it, but it didn't work for some reason, or he wasn't happy with it. And then When It Feels Natural is Frank telling the band, when it feels natural, we'll go in the studio and we'll lay this down officially for reals. So that's it. It's interesting. It's not something I go back to a lot. I don't recommend it if you're a casual fan. It's not something that really has any payoff unless you really know the Grand Wazoo, you really know Waka Jawaka, and you kind of really know Gregory Peccary because of the New Brown Clouds aspect. Other than that, I really don't think there's much here that a casual fan or even a moderately serious fan will get. This is really for the deep dive hardcore people, which is why it's number 51 out of all the post-Zappa releases. So if you listen to this, let me know what you think about it. If you check it out based on this, let me know what you think about it and see if I nailed anything on the head. Trying to refine these and get it right. But anyways, subscribe because apparently that lets more people know about this, and then we get to spread the love of Zappa, which is the whole purpose of doing this, is share the music. Music is the best, yada, 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 all that stuff. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Another video coming soon. Take care. Peace.